Press the button. Okay. So supposedly we're live, but we will know we're live. Hi everyone. Keith, you want to get going?
Welcome to Keith and the Girl. I'm Keith Malley.
I'm Chemda.
Today's guest, Django Gold. Hello, Django.
Hello, America.
Now, luckily, I have a co-host named Chemda, and so it's not weird when I get into asking guest names. What the fuck?
I do what I can for the show. Thank you, everyone.
At this point, Keith is the outlier.
Right.
That's a strange one.
How
I'm
does
not
it
wasting
feel,
consonants, and it's crazy.
Yeah.
So first, I think, all right, Django, is that named after the movie? The movie was only 10 years ago that we know of, but Tarantino does repeat names.
That's
Then
true.
I realized there's an older movie in the 60s called Django.
Mhm.
That dude's white, but he was supposed to be a cool character.
He was Italian.
And I just saw a clip of him, and he's like, "How many guys do you have left for me to kill? Oops,
Yeah.
Are you tongue-tied or you just don't want to tell me?" And I'm like, was that cool in 1960?
Wow. That's really ahead of its time. That's like a Dirty Harry style line.
Right.
I'm surprised to hear that. I've actually never seen the Django movies. There's a few of them. That's the one where he's like carrying a coffin, like dragging a coffin full of guns, I believe.
I saw a coffin in the trailer, but I didn't see that version.
That's actually something I've been doing.
But you don't have to see either of those movies, and your name's Django. If a movie's called Keith, I have to see it.
Well, I got some. Well, that's true. God, you're right. What have I been doing in my life?
Anyway,
What
good
is
meeting you.
Tiffany?
I just watched Dirty Work last night for like the 5th time, and then I am now watching a series of films that has my name, my weird ass name. That's crazy. I should do that tonight. You're right. I don't know what the hell I'm thinking.
Well, I don't know how you feel about this, but because of you, I Googled the trailer for Django Unchained. It's sillier than I thought it would be.
Wait, you've never
Can
seen
I say
that?
How dare you?
You didn't see Django Unchained, Chemda? Well, I mean, you have nothing to be worried about. Django obviously is the cool customer in both these movies, so
That's right.
you're gonna feel good.
And just a little bit of trivia for you and your viewers. So
Yes.
the reason these movies are called Django is actually a third Django before all this. That's the one I was named after. This guy Django Reinhardt, who's like a jazz guitar player in like the 30s, 20s back then. So that's who the Italian movie Django is named after, and then obviously Quentin Tarantino named it after that one, and then
When I first saw your name in my email, I'm like, this dude's naming himself Django, and then because of the Django Unchained. So I thought you were nicknaming yourself that or something, and it just happened in your adult life. But then I look you up and you're white, and I'm like, if this motherfucker decided that in this time his name is Django,
that would be a pretty bold
Yeah.
move. I agree.
So I'm like, oh, he had to have been born with that name. It's so interesting.
Yeah,
But everything. But even the last name Gold, like the whole name sounds fake. Were your parents' last name Gold?
Yeah. This is all as crazy as it is. This is all like my birth Christian name. There's no sleight of hand here. This is what I was named. But yeah, it never really occurred to me how weird it was until like I entered quote unquote like the biz, and I was like, oh yeah, this is like something like a freaking like vaudeville performer would name they would have. It's like really pretty wild. But you get something like that where you're like so used to it your whole life, you kind of forget how strange it is, and then like you meet someone like, oh yeah, this is absolutely nuts. Like my parents are really.
I get that once you have to, put your name in a bucket and people have to pronounce it and the host is trying to say anything to bring you up, then it extras your name, right?
Yeah.
However, with a name like Chemda, I was well aware my whole life, because whenever you meet someone, I don't know about you, but I have to pause and go, here we go, Chemda. And then there's like one of maybe 3-4 scenarios that happens after that I am aware of. You didn't have any of that. My name is Django. How do you spell it? Is it pronounced this way?
I get that 100% of the time.
Okay. So you knew it was different.
When you're born, they go, the good news is you can have your own .com.
There you go.
Bad news is nobody can type it.
I should have sprung on that early. I've been one of the early Django adopters. Yeah, I guess the thing is, like, when you're a kid, you don't really meet that many people. Like, I grew up in a pretty small town, so you meet like the 40 people you'll know for the next 10 years. But obviously, now that I live in New York, it's a constant. It's the main conversation I have, I'd say.
And
you're right, because when I grew up in yeshiva, so I was meeting people like Avi and Dina and Ophira and so Chemda still didn't blend in, but it didn't stick out as much as once I went into the secular world.
Yes, yes.
What was that? What was that show? I See Mary and Mark. They didn't find a lot of Chemdas, did they? No, that magnifying glass couldn't pick you up.
What's that from?
What is that from?
Oh, it's a show that I wanted to be on so bad. I don't remember what it was called, but it was a kindergarten class that would come into a TV show. So they'd pick a kindergarten class in New York, and they would come on TV, and they would almost do kindergarten or like the fun parts of kindergarten on air. And then we would watch kindergartners like jump on every red thing or, climb this or whatever. And at the end,
virtual kindergarten.
Right.
It was a day of like, you get to be on TV at this age, right? And then the host, which, I guess played the teacher a little bit at the end, would pretend to be looking through a magic something or other and say, I see John, I see Keith. And I always envisioned myself in this show and not being called. And then I passed the age that they can call you. And I'm like, of course they're not calling Chemda to this show. And my brother got picked.
Oh, what's
my
your brother's
younger
name?
Brother, at the time it was Sharon. So good luck. He didn't get called. Now it's Michael. So he learned his lesson maybe that day. I don't know.
Now he can buy those license plates at theme parks.
Right. Yeah.
Were you ever tempted to change your name at any point like your brother did?
Yes.
But you held strong like a soldier.
I like how you're putting it. I'm gonna continue that kind of idea where I quote held strong, but
that's right.
I couldn't, I know it's weird to compare, but people also have asked me if I ever thought of getting a nose job. I know that's so weird. This is the ideal nose. Very strange. And in both ways, I couldn't be called by something else, and I couldn't look in the mirror and have a different face. And I was like, all praises, like all good to those who can, but I didn't know how to make that adjustment. I couldn't do it, but both my brothers changed their names.
You didn't know which would come first. You're like, if it's a set, the doctor and the government, then maybe we'll talk. But
like if I do my nose and my name at the same time, I could be called Maria. But if I do one at a time, I got to pick a little differently.
Yeah. I'd probably go name first as a trial balloon, because that's you can change back and forth as many times as you want. The nose is kind of permanent. So see how you adjust life as like an Alice or whatever, and then if you're still committed to the lifestyle.
Although I do like this idea of doing both at the same time, because then, you switch schools, you switch noses and names, and it's like, isn't that Chemda? No, I'm pretty sure that's Nicole.
Not.
Yeah. Have you thought about it? Were you going to change yours to John with the D?
No, the closest I'll get is whenever I go to like a takeout place or something like that, and they ask for my name, I always just say John, because I don't want to deal with like the conversation about my name, which I've had thousands of times, is all well and good, but I just don't want to have it every single time I'm getting like a bagel or something like that. So that's the only time I do it. Other than that, I'm pretty happy to have the Django name. I think it's served me well for the most part.
I didn't really think of Starbucks, which I've also Starbucks and coffee places everywhere that puts your name on. I used to put Cindy because I'm not creative and I don't want to talk about it. But now I say Chemda because I'm like, fuck you, stop asking. This is a name.
Right.
But I would think like after the movie came out, which you're pretty young, it came out as soon as you became an adult or maybe even younger. I can't really tell how old you are.
10 years ago. He's 30 something, right?
Yeah.
So you're an adult. I would think like now everybody knows the name. Everybody knows how to spell it. But then I'm thinking, honestly, only because you're white and people only know this movie, I wouldn't use that in coffee spots, because then it's like, that's so funny. Okay. Thanks. Very good.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, Gold is your last name. That's very good. All right.
Yeah, it is a pretty good bit.
Can I get a latte for Jackie Brown? What motherfucker?
Yeah, that's a good point. So I guess it's a twofold reason I'm doing it then.
So the special, I want to get into more detail later in this show, but it's called Bag of Tricks, and it's interesting that the two Django movies that I know of are Westerns. There's definitely Western music, and if I may say, a Western font, but you've never seen the movies.
No, I have seen the movies.
Oh, you have seen them.
I'm sorry. My bad. I'm confusing you. I have seen Django Unchained. I have not seen the Franco Nero.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, the Western motif was actually, I did not plan for that. My editor, this guy Corey Dome, who's brilliant and great, he just out of nowhere, like when we saw the very first cut, had added this kind of like Western motif to it, and it just works so well. And the music cue is like so like stirring and like just kind of complemented so well that we just went with it. But yeah, that was not actually originally planned from the get-go.
And you talk in the beginning about your hippie parents, and they're into, you got a dream catcher as a gift, this kind of thing. You see a owl on the side of the road. She has to find.
Yeah. That's, I can't believe you saw that set. That's great. Is that from? I forget what that was, but yeah. My parents were freaking, like lunatics. Like it was a lot of crystals, a lot of like macrame, just like constant visits to strange like craft fairs. The funniest thing is whenever like their old beatnik friends would come by from the day, you just like meet like these really like wavy bearded like freakazoids. It's just like super fun. Like so yeah, it was an interesting upbringing, I'd say.
If it wasn't your album, if it wasn't your special, then it was Colbert, I think.
Yeah, something like that. I forget.
But you mentioned that if you don't believe me, how I grew up, ask my sister, California. Is that true?
Yeah. That's the coup de grace. Yeah, my younger sister's name is California Gold. She goes by Cali, which is kind of like the Cindy of Hemda.
Right.
Wow, California. Why? Is that where she was conceived?
Yep. Yeah, we both grew up in California, and when
so you were conceived while they were watching the original Django?
I was conceived while they had the big book of hippie names, which has Frodo Baggins on the front. Yeah, I mean, God knows what the rationale was. I think it's just they want some kooky, silly names, and they sure got them.
How on the scale of hippie, where do you land?
I am not very hippie. I'm very like liberal and leftist, but I'm pretty regimented in my life. Like I don't even wear jeans because I think they're like too flashy. So I just like wear slacks, everywhere, khaki pants. And I'm like a total square in most respects. So it's kind of that weird thing, like whatever your parents do, you used to do the opposite of, So if my parents had been like, hardcore conservatives or something like that, I would in turn be more of a flower child because it was.
Have you smoked weed or with your parents?
I don't think so. No.
That don't think so?
I don't think memorable. So. That seems to be a taboo that like I would feel too uncomfortable about, even as an adult. Like,
but does New York City now smell like what your house used to smell like, and you just put two and two together? Okay.
Come to think about it, wait a second. I grew up in the world's biggest marijuana growery. Yeah, New York City. I gotta say, the smell of weed has just become so commonplace now. It used to be like so exotic. Now it's just like this, like kind of like. It's like getting the morning paper. Like
I have a feeling that New Yorkers now, every time we see a cop, we light up. We're like, you can't do it. Prohibition is over.
That's right. And the cops will never hassle us if we are white.
Django has received the Peabody Award, the WGA Award, 7 Emmy nominations. Were the Emmys for Colbert?
Yeah, we got nominated most years we were there, so we got to go and put on the whole Men's Warehouse tuxedo and do the whole thing.
Are you still? I know obviously about the strike. Do you still write for Colbert?
No. Even without the strike, I have not been working there for a couple of years. I've been kind of doing my own thing,
The special's great though.
Just
to be honest.
Scoping it. Oh, thanks so much. Yeah.
You're like, I know Colbert could employ me, but I'm going to do the self-employment for a while.
That's right. I'm an entrepreneur.
Yes.
A hero, you might call me.
I wear all the hats now. Thank you. Colbert was just too easy, so I decided to.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Why stop with Colbert? You're choosing, his choosing. You said everything you have to say.
I'd say it'd be his choosing.
After 7 Emmy nominations, what's to choose? Like, no, I'm going a different route. Not so funny. More models.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. It's kind of it was a little vague, I will say.
Okay, so I didn't know if I'd get this out of you, but now maybe you can tell the truth. When I see your set on Colbert, which everybody can see on YouTube,
go check it out.
It's clear to know Colbert wasn't in the room that day. And when I hear comics tell me about that, he goes, and Django, everybody. And it's like, motherfucker, he would have been on your right, not your left. But anyways.
Wow, you're doing the whole JFK.
Yeah. But also you can tell, like, when people shake hands and stand together, and lately he hasn't been doing that. And I know this happens to comics. And for some reason, he has a day set aside. You think you're seeing a regular show. Maybe you can, see a model, an actress, and a stand-up or a band. But it's just, they surprise you, and it's just stand-up after stand-up of stand-up. And Colbert, who is closer to a stand-up than a model or even an actor, doesn't show up that day. Is that offensive?
No comment.
Okay, thank you. It's strange. It's strange to me, that's all. But okay. Django also wrote for The Onion in Chicago, and a lot of people don't know this, but it's not just headlines, right? You guys have headlines, but then you have words after it.
That's right. Those the bonus words we call
bonus
them.
Words. It's fantastic.
Yeah. If you love words, you're gonna love the article. Yeah, yeah. I worked at The Onion from 2013 to 2015 in Chicago. It was awesome. Love The Onion. Love those guys, what they're doing. Shout out to my Onion people.
Now, was it The Onion's idea for you to leave?
No, that was voluntary. At that point, I left to go write on Colbert Show, which had just they had just announced the transition from Letterman, so I got in on the ground floor over there.
Do when they use your picture for something in The Onion, are those usually writers, or do you go to stock footage?
They would do a lot of like whoever was in the office. So yeah, you see a lot of employees there, which is why so many of those photos are of Caucasian people in their 20s and 30s,
right?
But what they would also do, which I thought was a really good idea, was that whenever like the AV Club, which was in the same office, would have like some kind of festival or event, they would always set up a booth with some photographers and a green screen. They'd always like, hey, come here, you got your photo taken for The Onion. And so they would just bank like hundreds and hundreds of like stock photos of people, get their permission, a signature, I can use your photo. And then these people would just like pop up randomly in like the audit, whatever article that would come out. So you'd go to a festival, get your photo taken, and then like a year later, you'd see your article and like your face on an article about like like pedophile arrested for like whatever. Like that would happen like all the time.
Has it ever hit you? Like I don't think you'd complain, but do you ever get fake upset? Like, I'm local man who sucked myself off for charity. That's the face.
That's a roll of the dice, baby.
Right.
That's life for you. You sign that release. We can do whatever we want.
It's journalism.
What was the most I don't want to say harsh one, but the most like the most cringe-worthy one that your face got?
Well,
that stands out.
I wouldn't say it's cringe-worthy because I volunteered for it. We have these op-eds, like editorials from like fake characters The Onion does, and there's this one character we have called Derek Ralphs, who's like a kind of just like your garden variety pervert, but he's always like writing these like op-eds complaining about very specific complaints about how like the world isn't like living up to like his perverted fantasies as well as he would like. So I am honored to say that I'm the Derek Ralphs guy. Let me pull up some of these headlines because they always really tickle me. Here's one from December. This is my favorite time of the year because I'm sexually aroused by toy soldier makeup. Let's see. You can only masturbate to Italian chef sculptures outside of pizza places for so long before wanting the real thing. So yes, it's like all these kind of like very obscure fetishes. And when we need a photo for, I was like, me. So I'm very.
Is your mom and dad still around?
My mom is, yeah.
Does she see this article and like, God damn it?
Oh yeah, she's become pretty accustomed to the path I've chosen, and I've certainly probably offended and shot her many times at this point. So she's pretty inured to it. She watched the special. You saw it. She watched all that fucking crazy shit I was saying. So she's used to it by now.
When you in the special, you talk about dating. Are you dating? It's a recent special. When did you film it?
We filmed it in May. It took about 4 months to edit. Yeah, May.
Okay. And you talk about dating. Are you still dating or are you still single?
Yeah, I've been doing a little bit of dating here and there.
Okay. He says, I can be whoever you want tonight. I have no dangerous opinions. And let's begin this stupidity.
Well, that's I love that joke just because it is like, I mean, I don't know, like it kind of like dispenses with like the illusions we have about like, because that is what dating is. It's an audition. You're showing up and it's like, at least for that first date, you are to an extent just pretending whatever you need to pretend to get the other person to like you, assuming you want the other person to like you back, So it is like this, like kind of like very obvious.
Who's your favorite character to pretend?
What favorite character?
Somebody who pretends to run and grabs the door. Like, I'm going to be doing that forever. You won't think I'm a fucking weirdo.
That's the easiest one, man. I would, if I could get some brownie points for that, 100%, that's the easiest one. I'd say I pretend to be someone who's like kind of more confident and talkative than I am, and like the longer you spend time with me, like the less and less I talk, I find.
That's so funny because I was going to say I pretend to be the Little Mermaid and just stop talking.
Oh, that's interesting. What's your rationale for that? Do you think men don't?
I hardly dated. I just picked a friend. That's my dating.
You hang out with Chemda for a while, you're in. That's a secret. Just yeah.
I mean, we're getting along. Let's see what's sleeping with each other. That's how I found my boyfriend.
Oh, nice. Congratulations.
Dude, it is, you talk about, going to movies alone, doing things alone. That's strange. I go to movies alone, even if I'm with somebody, but it was weird to ask for one ticket for Barbie. I got to be honest. But somehow you can go with another adult and be an adult and see Barbie. Yeah, somehow that was fun.
Then it's you and your fellow adults. Oh, the sophisticated evening of seeing the doll adaptation. Yes, quite good. They did justice to the doll.
He talks about remember the good old days when nerds were like, they made robots that learned to play chess, and now they're like, women. Like, that's so true. Whatever happened to nerds?
Yeah, man, those are the good old days. Remember Revenge of the Nerds, that movie?
Yeah, of course.
Holy shit! I am so scared to rewatch that.
You think it hasn't aged well?
Oh, it was never well.
There is some panty rating, right? And I believe
panty rating.
The nerd fucks the jock's woman, and she doesn't know it.
In disguise. Yeah, that's no good. There's also, if I recall, one of the nerds, like his nerd attribute is just that he's a homosexual.
Right. Right.
He's just gay. And that's like, oh my God, what a nerd. What a dork having sex with other men.
Yeah.
With those movies, thank you. In the 80s, I would always get really scared that some of those things would happen to me, because what they would do with dating in the 80s, both in sitcoms and movies, would be tricking, like, oh, it's a bet that I'm going out with her, or oh, I'm just trying to trick this guy into believing that I'm into him so I could humiliate him after he gets a hard on. Like that was in the Revenge of the Nerds movie. This quote hot girl, of course, is like sliding into the nerd. He's at a diner or something, so she sits with him and he's like, holy shit, a woman. And she's like, maybe I'll blah blah blah. And as soon as he gets hard, she blows the whistle and everybody comes around to laugh at him. Something like that. I mean, like, I wouldn't be surprised if like that's exactly how it went, or you get the gist. And I'm like, how is this funny?
Yeah.
Why is she spending time on this? Why are all these people interested in seeing a hard on? Don't you have a hard on all the time at this age? Like, all of the messaging was so confusing to me. I'm like, that's what we're making fun of, that he's attracted to her. I thought we're all attracted to her. What's happening? Like, this is the way that I could be tricked. It's like you take the most vulnerable moment, or like, I bet you wouldn't date that girl because she's so ridiculous and that would be crazy. How much? And then you're dating a guy for a while in the movie and he's, or like, let's put the ponytail down now, I'm super hot. I'm like, well, I can't do that. When I take out my ponytail, my hair just stays there. This is a nightmare. So yeah, 80s, no, I don't think it's that well.
It's very fortunate that life does not work out the same way. But that being said, you should be mindful of, like, if anyone's ever like, if a prospective romantic partner is like getting you close to a big vat of goo, or like, any other obvious setup for a huge prank in front of all the kids in high school.
I was so nervous. I remember we used to go to Israel in the summer, pretty much every summer. And I was there I couldn't have been older than 10, right? Maybe 11. And one of the neighbors, we would be friends with the neighbors. One of the neighbor kids, my age, he and I were sitting, this other girl was sitting there, and he's like, I want to take you out on a date tomorrow to this place, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, okay, who's coming out to laugh at me?
Jesus. Oh my God. That's so traumatic. You never allowed yourself to be loved.
I'm sweating. And she was, I guess this is why I didn't date you guys. We are realizing so many things today. Right. But the girl that was there, she's like, and he's asking you out. I'm like, right. That's how people ask people out. I'm just gonna go out with him tomorrow. And they both, now they think about it, they're both like, what? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know you, but I guess that's how people get to know each other.
What did you think was the way someone would ask you out? What was the vision you had in your head of it?
That's what's weird. I guess there should be a moment. It shouldn't just be like part of the conversation. I didn't understand why he was asking me out.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't have a rapport. We were like, okay, but that's stupid. Yeah. That's, maybe he just found me attractive. Like even now I say it with like a ridiculous, maybe he just found me attractive. Maybe I was something he liked.
Yeah. These are self-defeating thoughts. You gotta.
Yeah.
I was bullied in high school. Did you have it tough?
Not really.
No.
I mean, I was like a little dorky dweeb guy, but I never had any like the movie conception of like one guy who's always like pummeling you every day. I never saw that happen. And kids were like, there were certain kids that were just like dicks, but like I never had anyone like was actually like bullying me, I wouldn't say.
Oh, I go on Facebook and I follow these people. You know that song, The Joke by Brandy Carlisle? And she goes, I've been to the movies. I see how this ends. And I'm like, that's true. And I love watching their fucked up faces they got fixed for no reason. You were the pretty one, idiot. Look at you now. And your job. I see what you do for a living, you piece of... Oh, is that your third wife? That doesn't mean you were in love 3 times. I enjoy it so much, social media.
I hope it's brought you peace.
Oh, I'm so happy. So happy. The opposite of this is indifference. I am so happy.
Yeah.
Wow. And in the chat, we're getting Ryan V is saying, it was weird. I actually bullied people on the football and wrestling teams, but I assumed every girl who asked me out was trying to trick me.
Man, what is going on with you people? Like, you can't trust anyone. Yeah. Very sad.
Oh, let me put it this way. I'm 47. Have you seen 80s movies?
I have.
Period.
Yeah.
In your stand-up, you talk about loving commercials, the way they can make you cry. I didn't know Pennzoil could make me cry. What's and when we ask people that, like, when's the last time you cried? They always bring up a commercial. But what's the real last time you cried?
The real last time I cried, God.
Hearing my story about maybe he'll.
Yeah, that was a real tearjerker.
Was it Barbie?
I haven't seen Barbie. I should see it. People seem to like it, but I find it hard to get excited about an intellectual property adaptation, I guess.
Thank you. That's all. You know what? I think you get it even without seeing it. I think this
is kind of a cheat answer, but there's a song by a group called Pentangle, and they're a very old folk group from like the 60s. And they have this song called Willie of the Winsbury. It's like an old, like classic English song. And I love the melody so much that like half the time I listen to the song, it will like make me tear up. So that was the last time. I think that was like last week. Check it out, listeners. Willie o' Winsbury by Pentangle. It's a beautiful song.
It's a funny name for being a tearjerker, but yeah.
I know. But you know, all these like old like English songs are all about like, farmers and like guys going off to sea and shit. It's all very like hokey and lame, but the music is really great. I love it.
Were you close to your dad when he passed?
Mm-hmm. Certainly. Yeah. That was quite a right turn.
Right. Well, we already covered crying. Now we're in the
okay. I guess that is a little more. Yeah. I love my old man. He was like probably the more beatnik of the two of them, for sure. He was like one of those like Stanford 60s guys. Like he was like friends with like Ken Kesey and all those tricksters, pranksters, whatever you call them.
Right. How did he pass? Can I ask?
He had cancer. He died.
Not like another way. I'd be like, great.
Yeah, he got crushed by a hot air balloon.
Oh, great. Okay, that sounds fun.
All right. That's pretty funny.
How long has it been?
2 days.
Life has to move on.
You guys are so cool with the podcast,
right? We already rescheduled once. We can't.
Yeah, that's true. Come on, time is money. This was 2006, so a while ago.
You from your album, from your special, you sound like an atheist. Is that safe to say?
Yeah, I'd say so. No, not atheist. What's the other one? Agnostic.
You're not sure?
I don't.
Because your special is going to piss off God. It doesn't really sound like you're not sure.
Yeah, but that's all fun and games, big guy. Come on, we're all.
If only you made it clearer, God.
Yeah,
he's like, I made trees.
Yeah, that's true. He should have given me a more devout brain. No, I think, I'd say I don't feel that's particularly likely, but again, I'm just one person in an infinitesimally large world, so I would not say I have all the answers. So it's just my best opinion.
Does your mom believe?
I don't think so at this point.
Okay.
She grew up Catholic, but I think she actually mentioned one, but she was an atheist. So
Growing up Catholic is a great way to become atheist.
yeah, that
Yes.
seems to be the trend.
Yeah.
You can't tell me all the things. Then it's like, no way. You just tell me some of the things through movies and stuff. I'll be like, yeah, probably.
Yeah.
How
I know,
would
I
energy
feel like-
end?
I feel like 1 year of yeshiva, I would have been like, yeah, I'm Jewish. Let's have Rosh Hashanah. But because they left me in there for 9 years, I'm like, you every single year are contradicting yourself. I now have notes. I have receipts of how this is crazy.
Yeah. Did you ride around those school buses with the Hebrew lettering?
I don't think so. That's like the Hasidic people. They can outfit their shit because they pour all their money into
School
the
buses.
branding of Judaism. Yeah. Like, and they probably don't use the public buses. They probably have a Hasidic guy driving it so that everyone is familiar with the rules. We had like your average, no dentist insurance. Like, is every bus driver toothless? I feel like that they should get together and go like, we should at least have dental. It's rude.
They deserve dental insurance. I agree.
They have to yell at kids all day. They need teeth for that, I think.
Right. Don't let the kids mock the way you talk on top of things.
It's a very difficult job. Like I'd rather be a truck driver if I'm going to be driving, or an Uber driver. They're choosing children who, by the way, were never wearing seatbelts. There weren't even seatbelts on the bus. I don't know what it's like now, but yeah, they left kids sleeping there because nobody gave a fuck. Now you have to have like, this bus was checked for sleeping kids. Oh,
well, they could offer
now
dental,
can we
but
have dental? Yeah,
if you check for sleeping kids, yes.
Yeah.
Then it's like, we'll get back to you.
If you save 3 kids' life, they'll give you cheap dental insurance. Why don't school buses have seatbelts? That is kind of bizarre.
I don't know.
Are they assuming like a bus is so big it can't really like wipe out so much, it can only just get like jostled by another car, for example? Is that the principle? But
that's when seatbelts come in, when you flip over. I don't know, but
maybe statistically speaking, I'm just wondering if a bus is so big it's hard to make it flip over. So it happens so rarely that it's not worth $100 per seatbelt for the entire country's. Like that's a huge expenditure.
That sounds like the math the U.S. does.
That's what I'm saying. You're banking like, the risk of X kids dying is less than the cost of like 12 million seatbelts or whatever.
Well, I guess Mimi Cherry is saying buses don't have seatbelts, so I guess they still don't. But I know in my childhood, we never put on seatbelts. My parents never put on their seatbelt. We didn't have child seats past like being an infant. 6 of us would be in the back seat. Some of us would be sitting where your feet would normally go. It didn't matter. We were standing up while our parents were driving. Yep. It's different.
Chaos.
Yeah.
I'm paraphrasing, but he talks about heaven. He's like, they say when you go to heaven, you're going to meet like Sinead O'Connor and Paul Rubens. No, you're going to be at your grandparents' heaven condo.
Those were not celebrities I use, for the record. That's you, that's you projecting who you want to meet.
I can't play guitar. Jimi Hendrix would laugh at me.
That's right. Yeah.
But yeah, how can heaven be heaven? Like I was raised that heaven, you're happy, you have no problems at all ever, which I think would be boring. But okay, I think the beauty of my happiness is getting over something bad. But okay, you're always happy, but there's no way I'm meeting my parents and I'm always happy.
Yeah. I mean, if that's the case, it's just like another version of Earth. It's like Earth 2. Like, you get to hang out with the same people and do the same shit and go to the same job and take the same subway. Yeah, it doesn't seem as exciting.
I loved your point so much about the way the world is now, that Nazis are back.
They are back.
And then he says, so I guess my grandfather wasn't some big hero after all.
Yeah.
He just inconvenienced the Nazis. But they're right here.
I like that joke. The only issue with that is the math doesn't quite check out, because at this point, like World War II veterans are like 96 years old or something crazy like that. So unfortunately, I made to switch over to the Vietnamese, which doesn't make as much sense.
No, no, this is good. It's good as is.
Viet Cong are back.
By the way, no one's doing the correct math because no one knows it. Don't worry about it. The Holocaust, okay. I bet somebody thinks it's 40 years ago.
I know. That's my OCD talking. I said everything needs to be logical, lined up. I don't want to get Hassan Minaj.
It's appreciated because you want to have like a nice timeline, but
yeah.
And the audience is too busy being fake shocked anyway. They don't have time for calculators.
My God, dude, we had to edit out so many monocles being dropped. And women
I heard glasses fall. It was monocles.
Oh, my God, this comedian is out of control.
You were talking about the body, and you mentioned blood. Somehow you get disgusting. You mentioned cum, and you just happened to mention that you spell cum C-O-M-E. I know this sounds silly, but is that true? Because I used to also thinking, even if you're talking about sex cum, English words matter. And then I switched to cum, and honestly, it's so much more freeing and everybody knows what you're saying. Well, what are your thoughts on cum?
I think that's my personal style book guides, but for some reason, I don't know. This is just like a weird thing. I find spelling it with a U kind of gross.
Yeah.
And
by the way, I'm sorry to interrupt men talking, but I fucking knew these were your conversation. I knew
That's right.
I knew that's what you talked about.
It's a combination of sex stuff and grammar / spelling.
That and football. Yes.
And football players coming.
It's like that joke. What is my guy doing when I'm not around? And it cuts to the guys. I think cum should have an O.
Yeah, that's basically it. Me and the other members of the literary salon. Yeah, I don't know. I do that a lot with like spelling, where like I have like a rule in my head that may not necessarily make sense, but it's like my rule. It's like how it goes, and then I just go through the base regardless of like what logic or the outside world thinks. So I'd be happy to know people's comments on it.
Yeah, I have weird grammar rules where I'm like, I see people put 2 exclamation points, I go crazy, but you can have 3, then it's a deliberate artistic choice.
That's right. That just displays the maximum enthusiasm.
It's common sense.
Yeah.
Oh, this world. Do you mentioned night terrors? Do you have those? I have to assume. I've
had them every so often. Yeah.
How bad do they get, and do they still go on?
They're not that pervasive. I'd say like maybe one a year, which is not bad as far as these things go. And
that's a lot.
It's fucking terrifying. You ever had this happen where you just like wake up and you can't fucking move, and like you have like a presence in the room? It's like the worst thing in the world. And like how it works is like, I guess I've heard someone told me the way you're supposed to deal with this is as soon as it's happening, you say to yourself, "This isn't real. It's not real. It's not real," and it snaps you out of it. But I'm such an idiot. Like I think it is real for like a few 30 seconds, and then after the terror, then I'm like, "Oh, this is actually a fucking game my mind is playing." So, yeah,
so what's actually happening? You're frozen because some people start yelling and running. You are frozen in your bed.
Frozen. Yeah, can't move.
And who's the presence?
I usually don't know. It's usually like just knowing like in the darkness, there's like a shape in the darkness, or even the darkness itself has some kind of like presence within the darkness. It's kind of hard to explain because the only times I perceive it are when I'm asleep or like in like this weird like dream world. So it's kind of hard to run down. But yeah, it's just like something.
What are doctors and therapists saying?
No, I've definitely not gone to them about this.
Excuse me.
They might be in on it.
It's a common. Yeah, that's right. That might be the goddamn Midnight Man. He's like, take off your clothes. I'll be back in a second. And then he comes back. He's the fucking guy.
Right.
No, I'm not going to fall for that one.
He turns up all the lights. I'll be right back.
Yeah.
You never told the therapist this.
No, I think it's a common thing though. It's not like something that like I think it requires medical attention, especially because it's so rare.
Dude.
That's what you call medical attention? Saying it out loud to another human being who has a degree in this?
Why bother with that? If I could talk.
I didn't say take an ambulance.
My drunk friends. That would be funny. Calling 911. I had a bad.
What the fuck? There's a presence in my room. I'm terrified. Quick, call therapist. I'll be right here.
Come over and hold me.
Yeah. Well, did you have a safe upbringing?
Mm-hmm.
And did anything traumatic happen to you? That could be associated with somebody in your room or somebody.
I don't think so. I've done some reading. I think it's mostly related to stress. It's less like trauma and more just like building stress kind of creates this illusion.
I see. So you build something while in your sleep that you can't do anything about because that's how you feel when you're awake. Is that?
It's the essence of HBO Max and Netflix holding you down.
Yeah, man. Fucking what's his name? Zaslav. He's the Midnight Man.
So are you able to lucid dream at all? That sometimes you can control it or not?
Yes, occasionally I will. But if I'm ever lucid dreaming, I'm doing it like for like cool stuff,
Right.
Like winning the NBA finals and that kind of thing.
I had the craziest shit last night that seemed so real. I was a waiter for like 15 years. And I was working and for the longest time, even when we were doing Keith and the Girl, Hemda and I would go to a restaurant and I'd be like, this place seems pretty chill. I could work here. And it's like, oh, well, actually, we're in Italy. It'd be a long commute. I'm like, hey, I'm just thinking out loud, And in this dream, I was working at an Applebee's, but I knew that wasn't right. I'm like, I know I have Keith and the Girl. Why am I at an Applebee's? But I knew that another job wanted me to take silverware from wherever I saw it. And I think that's because I just watched an episode of The Bear where they didn't have enough silverware. So somebody had to go out to different stores and buy silverware. So I think I had to take silverware from Applebee's. But anyway, I'm still realizing like, no, I don't think this is real. Okay, how did I get here at this Applebee's? And I didn't know how. Did I take a car? Did I walk? I'm like, I don't work here. How did I get to Keith and the Girl? Oh, we had different studios. I'm in Astoria now, this kind of thing. I'm like, okay, now let's have some fun. I started making out with all the Applebee's waitresses.
Hell yeah, dude.
And I felt like nothing came out, CAME, but I think I had an orgasm. Lucid fucking.
Congratulations.
It's so weird.
That's awesome.
And then I checked and nothing was there, but I'm like, I think that happened and I'm a grown adult. That's pretty cool.
The twist would be, I'm actually at a real Applebee's.
Right. Anyway, my shift's over, guys.
My
shift's back on. I mean,
lifetime ban.
Do you lucid dream ever, Kenda?
You
recognize something's crazy so you can take it over?
Yes, but it whenever I recognize it, it's kind of over. I used to, when I would have stress dreams, like when I first got a retail job, I was like 14 or 15 years old. And I was on the register, but a lot of the thing had to do with folding clothes. And I would wake up in the middle of the night. It didn't happen that often. Wake up in the middle of the night, see that there were clothes on my floor, and be like, I got to get up to fold those because this is not how it's supposed to look. And so I'm half awake and half a dream. I'm pretty sure I was sitting up and I was looking at it and I'm like, get up and fold the clothes. And I couldn't get up because I was too in my sleep still. And that would happen. It was a recurring dream for a little bit.
That's her night terror. Clothes. Chicks, I tell you.
I worked at a place called Jean Center. I'm like, I gotta fold the jeans. Time to make the donuts.
It's so shitty because like your dream should be an escape and some rest. Right. It's just fucking mundane tasks.
And who knows what really happened? But I'm like, I work at Keith and the Girl, not Applebee's, right? And I turn my head like to look at my room and I see my room and I'm like, well, of course, this is my life. This is my job. And I immediately went right back to bed and was in Applebee's and was able to fuck these waitresses. But who knows that I really even look at the room? That I make up I looked at the room because it felt immediately. Oh, well, it was weird. Speaking of restaurants, I like that you brought up Jared from Subway. And you said, first of all, if anybody doesn't know about Jared from Subway, he cheated on his wife. Not a good guy.
Got him. Got his ass.
And then he goes, why doesn't Quiznos just bring up, hey, welcome to Quiznos. We don't fuck little girls. Well, turkey's okay, and you don't lose too much weight, but anyway, Quiznos.
I love that joke. I almost didn't use it because I thought like it was too old. Like that Fogel thing happened like 8 years ago at this point. I figured
it's good. Something always happens with him in the news again. Also, though, by the
way, he'll
be
back. He'll be back shilling for a different sandwich company. That'd be amazing if like Jersey Mike's had him back after he gets out of jail.
Right.
Hey,
everybody needs a second chance, and now in our 2-for-1 second chance special,
he knows the business. All right, you know how long it would take to train a new spokesperson. Let him have it.
These jeans are 34, 36. That's not too bad. Anyway, welcome to Quiznos. It's at the end. Your special is so good.
Thank you.
That I even stay for the credits. And I see it said it was directed by 2 people. What does that mean, directed?
These are the guys who just made it all happen. They, designed the look of it. They designed the camera approach, the general like vibe of, the stage dressing. They also, were with me in post-production. It's like, everything.
Okay.
Like a director is kind of like a vague term, but these guys are just, the guys, Eitan and Dan, shout out. They're the guys who really just like greased the wheels and made everything happen. So all that I had to do was just show up and start talking. I had,
gotcha.
Like great directors / producers, when they do their job well, it means that you don't have to think about anything. And luckily they put me in that position.
Right. I didn't know if they were like, you hint at autism, kind of stare stupider longer.
Right. No, like they didn't really give me too many quote unquote acting notes. I think they were kind of respectful. Like,
right.
The comic needs to do the comics thing. It doesn't really help to micromanage that aspect. So they were kind of hands off for that, which I think is a good approach.
Well, why the title Bag of Tricks?
Well, here's a fun fact for your listeners. It was originally going to be called Razzle Dazzle. And that was the plan until March, when the comedian Bert Kreischer dropped his Netflix special titled Razzle Dazzle. So I was like, oh shit, this is my fucking thing. So I had to kind of scramble for a little bit. And I wrote down a bunch of names, and I liked Bag of Tricks because it's easy to remember. It doesn't really have any like hard meaning. It's just kind of like a fun phrase, right. But it also kind of evoked the playful nature of the whole thing. So I thought it was, based on all those criteria, I thought it worked out.
Was it tough to debate? Do I put this? Maybe well, you didn't, right? I didn't see it on Apple Music. So do you debate? Do I put this on the streaming things and get some money? Do I put on YouTube more for the listeners? Obviously, it's on YouTube, like I said. Was that tough to figure out?
I think we'll do both, because this is also the audio is also through a record label, Ghost Runner Records, and I believe they're currently in the process of getting out to Sirius XM.
Yep.
So there will be a point when you're flying on an airplane, you will be able to hear my voice if you so desire.
Okay, good.
Yeah, watch out for that.
Let's get to some news stories. Obviously, jump in. Tell me what's doing. First of all, we were talking about Danny Masterson last week, that 70s show actor who got 30 years to life. So you assume that means 30 years for multiple rapes. His wife, Bijou Phillips, kept showing up to court, every day to the last day. Danny, of course, is found guilty. Bijou Phillips just filed for divorce.
Sickness and in health, huh?
Right, honey. But to me, it's so weird that you were there every day until the verdict came.
Yeah.
Or even after the verdict, until the sentencing came, you were on his side. But now that the whole world knows, yeah, fuck him, because 12 people decided fuck him. We all agree now. She goes, yeah, fuck him. Like, what changed? Because it would be, wouldn't you still be on his side? Why did you go to court with him every fucking day?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. Maybe it was one of those things where like she wanted to do it for a while, but for the sake of PR and to help his chances of not being convicted, she kept up the illusion that like everything was good with him. But
I agree that she might have just been keeping up with something, because I don't think it's that easy to get a divorce, and you're married to a rapist. I really wonder if she feared a little bit for not her life, but like what her life is or what it can be, and how much damage it could happen. And maybe she waited until he was locked up to just file the paperwork. But I don't know. I think it's difficult to find a lawyer, and I don't know what happens when you're rich. It's probably a little bit easier, but I wouldn't be surprised if she was like, now that he's locked up, I have the bandwidth to take care of this. But maybe I'm just making that up, but we're all making it up. I feel like that's one of the things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's also, he's not a not violent guy.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like we don't know what relationship she's in and how much she needed to stay steady in order to move forward with her life. Just because he's done horrible, horrible things, that doesn't mean that he's not doing it to her, or she just has like a lovely existence with this person. It's
right.
It's a little scary. Like, that's a scary person, right? He's getting locked up for 30 years. I imagine he's scary. So any decision that she made, I think we have to kind of keep that in mind.
Could she have said, as a member of SAG, I can't be seen anywhere?
There you go. She can't
on camera.
Can't be promoting Danny Masterson.
One thing leads to that 70s show leads to, we all know what's happening. Less serious. Yesterday we were talking about Lauren Bobert. She got kicked out of Beetlejuice, a afternoon show. Just bringing that up because there's kids.
Denver production. of
Yes.
Beetlejuice. If you're ever in Denver, you only have one day. You must see Beetlejuice in Denver.
And she was loving it. She's vaping. She's putting her hands up. She's singing along. It's not a sing-along show. She's fist pumping. She's grabbing the boyfriend's dick. She's the boyfriend's grabbing her tits. And and then she's putting her hands on his hands and really rubbing like you're checking for,
I didn't watch this
cancer.
video. I didn't realize it was this chaotic.
It's insane. It's insane where they had to stop the show and kick her out.
Is she a drunk?
She must have been
She's something.
The video looked like if this was a sketch on a show, you'd be like, guys, we get it. She's being disruptive. This was like
party. She's got a lampshade on her head. Woo.
Yeah. Right. He's honking her tit, and you're like, is this sexy? Oh.
And when she would be at State of the Unions, for example, she would stand up and yell, "Liar, Biden, liar!" And being a real asshole. Can she do that anymore? So, or do people think she's?
I think she'll probably keep that going.
Just checking.
She's kind of staked her whole career on that type of nonsense. I mean, these people have no shame. I have no doubt that she'll probably go back to Beetlejuice the next night.
Right. Well, she said, I saw a video of her after, and she goes, I shouldn't have been vaping. First, she denied vaping. Now she's just saying the vaping. She's not acknowledging yelling and flash photography and grabbing tits and dick. She's like, I fell short of my morals by vaping. All right, we're supposed to believe that. Then said, next time I'll make sure who I'm dating and check a party affiliation, meaning he's a Democrat, and somehow that made her evil that one day. That made it it makes no sense, of course. And then said, I wish I knew how Beetlejuice ended. Everybody should go. It's a great show. Okay. That was her statement.
All's well that ends well.
Yes. Reb Lauren Bobert's estranged husband, this wasn't the date, is begging people to give her a chance after her steamy Beetlejuice date night, blaming her behavior on his own cheating, putting her through a devastating divorce.
What a great phrase. Steamy Beetlejuice date night.
He's trying to get her back. That must be what it is. And she's saying this is how you have to do it. That's got to be what this is.
It could be happy.
You're right, because I really couldn't see a reason until you said that. I don't know why. Just shut up.
The firebrand congresswoman. I don't know what firebrand means, but I don't think I ever want to be one, right? The firebrand congresswoman, doesn't sound good, had already blamed her public and difficult divorce for the behavior that got her booted from the Denver theater September 10th. Now the estranged husband is agreeing. They were married for 18 years. He takes full responsibility for the breakdown of our marriage. I was unfaithful to Lauren in so many ways, he wrote on Facebook. Asking people to show grace and mercy towards Lauren is a troubling season. Maybe she has like pictures and proof that he cheated. It's like, you say there this, or I'm going to show something embarrassing. You want to talk about embarrassing? I got embarrassing. Wow. Jason Bobert's mea culpa, addressed to the people of Colorado's 3rd District and across the nation, but eavesdropped by Keith and Kemda in New York, was in response to the deep concerns circulating about his ex. Watching the attacks against Lauren, I feel people should know the truth of our broken marriage and burden that she has carried for too long. So, of course, you're going to go nuts during a Denver production of Beetlejuice. Sure. Describing his soon-to-be ex-wife as having been an exceptional wife, mother, and now grandmother, Jason wrote, she has provided me with love, support, and honored me through every misstep. And you, of course, saw our beautiful Christmas cards where our little kids were carrying AK-47s after another school shooting. She's a family person, and it's a shame this happened, but it's my fault. Her strengths were always used to cover my weaknesses. Throughout our 20 years together, she had been my rock, my confidant, and my best friend. Her unwavering commitment to our family.
Wait. That was your best friend? That's how you treat people?
Yeah.
That's what he's humiliated about.
Not a very good friend.
Yeah, sorry.
Her unwavering commitment to our family has been truly admirable in that she's been taking care of them and I've been away. And I am devastated by the pain I have caused her. Lauren, if you are reading this, please know that I'm dedicated to doing everything in my power to rebuild the trust that has been shattered. I stand behind you. You're not in the theater where I couldn't see the play because of you being an asshole, but like metaphorically, I do. You are the hardest working person I know, selfless and overflowing with love. That's the word I think of. Bobert, who filed for divorce in May, cited irreconcilable differences. She says, I'm appreciative to hear Jason's sincere comments. This is a new season for us. Both grace and prayers for our family are welcomed by all. They might get together. Bobert and her date.
Romantic story, yeah.
Romantic story. Bobert and her date, Aspen Bar co-owner Quinn Gallagher, were booted from the family performance at Denver. You know, she thinks if you're transgender or even if you're gay, it's a sexual abomination. But you can go to a day show and grab dick and tit. That's on God's schedule. They were booted on September 10th after she blew a plume of vape smoke into the air. Footage showed the groping and whatnot. On Monday, she returned to Washington and said that all future dates have been canceled between her and Gallagher. I learned to check party affiliations before going on a date, as if, again, that makes any fucking sense.
Because who would do such a thing?
Right.
Who would make her do such a thing?
A Democrat.
Who would lead her into the darkness of honking titties?
It's just like the idea of like, she's just like a good God-fearing woman. Like, hey, baby, you want to come see Beetlejuice?
Right.
Oh, I shouldn't.
Yeah, it's a demon show, right? So I shouldn't even been in that theater.
No.
Never mind. It kind of looks like a drag show that you're against. Kind of. Here's what you want to do. You want to go to YouTube. You want to look at the special Bag of Tricks. It's Django Gold stand-up, and it is so fucking good. Thanks, top man. To bottom. There's nothing that needs changed. I remember this was a while ago, but they had something called, I don't know what it was called, but it was about movie stocks. And I get into movies and all this, and it's fake money. But you put like how much money you would put into a movie, and if it does good, you get your money. If you lose, but it's fun for like a week, and then you realize there's a top 10 list, and I didn't start early enough, so who gives a fuck? It's not real money. But if they had something fun for this, for like a YouTube specials, dude, all my fake money. This is so good. And if this isn't a hit, I'm going on a shooting spree. I love it. You should be so proud. That's right.
That's cool. That's the advantage of doing the virtual Zoom. You're safe, Hamda. Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate that. That's very nice of you to say. Like this, making it was
compliment like is that you're thanking him. This is
well. I'm ignoring the shooting street part
because the world won't make sense then.
Yeah,
and then who gives a fuck? Do whatever you want. Fuck cows, anything. Because who cares?
That's a good
this
blurb.
Is so good.
Cows. Thanks, man. I really appreciate it. That's very nice of you to say. I'm glad you liked it, man. It's been a joy getting all this, all these nice words from people, because it's just great making something, spending so much time on, and having it affect people. It's great.
This is definitely real, because I've never seen either one of you emote so much. This is just
I'm an old softie. What can you say?
No, I think this will make you come no matter how you spell it.
Yeah,
that's what I think.
Like to hear.
Django, very nice meeting you. Thanks so much for your time. Too, anything else the audience should know?
No, I think you said it, man. Bag of Tricks by me, Django Gold on YouTube. It'll make you come 2 ways.
That's it. Stick around for a second. I'm just going to close the thing in a minute.
Holy shit. Okay. The chat went into a very specific place. We had some folks coming in from a different show and bombarding the chat with some stuff, and they dropped off money in the name of Keith, would you like to know live?
Sure.
Pat Dixon. Yeah. And at first they're trying to get our attention by
Pat Dixon's a sexual predator, and so that's what they're trying to do, I guess. Like if you give money, you have to say the name. Is that what they're thinking?
Guess because they were coming in from NLO, and then they were saying,
a fucking weirdo.
So strange who you're backing, dude. And then like, why? You could just stop. But they were coming in with like free Pat Dixon. And then when I wasn't paying attention to it, they started giving money. So thanks.
Okay.
Did you guys make some real money today?
Yeah. That'd be funny. What do we owe Django something? Because I call out rapists.
It was like a couple bucks at a time. It's not a lot, but it was Mimi Cherry is writing NLO train raid. Yeah, it was so weird. But I just say our people were so cool. They were like, okay, this is happening right now. And then when it was like starting to break up, they were like, okay, lol, thanks for coming. Bye. Just like, good on you guys. They were like, okay, these people need a minute. So thanks for being around. Click all the buttons.